Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. We are just a couple days away from Halloween, and if you're not listening to music on Halloween night, I don't know what you're doing, but here are 10 perfect rock and metal albums to play on Halloween. Thought I'd do something a little bit fun and different here on the channel as we get closer to Halloween, so consider this the Halloween special here, and it's casual day. This is the stuff I normally wear around the house, so that being said, these are in no particular order. Let's get started here at number 10. Gonna go with Dusk And Her Embrace by Cradle of Filth. This is the band at, some of their most haunting and creative, refining their mix of black and gothic metal, to something perfect for the season. And, a variant of the album was released in a coffin, for God's sake. It's perfect for Halloween. Danny Filth's younger, harsh vocals cut like a knife on here, and tracks like Heaven Torn Asunder and the title track really demonstrate the band's balance between aggression and atmosphere. It's steeped in this nocturnal imagery, and it's super theatrical, too. Next up, technically 2 albums, but I'm going to include them as one entry here because they kind of go hand in hand with each other. That's Collection 1 and 2 by the Misfits. These remain essential, not just for punk history, but, for the enduring link between rock music and horror culture. And tracks like Skulls, Astro Zombies, and Halloween show the band, turning classic horror into something really punky and energetic. And the result, of course, is timeless. It's the blueprint for horror punk that bands are still using to this day. You know how for a month of the year, we get towards Christmas, Mariah Carey suddenly comes back to life with that god-awful Christmas song? Well, that's kind of how it is with Rob Zombie around Halloween, except the music is much better, and if there was ever an album to play on Halloween, it's his solo debut, Hellbilly Deluxe, expanding more on the theatrical, horror-inspired, side of his work outside of White Zombie. You'd be hard-pressed to get through Halloween without hearing Dragula or Living Dead Girl on the radio, and the album celebrates, the pulp side of horror, the monsters, the sleaze, the B-movie excess, making it an essential soundtrack for, the louder, more chaotic side of the season. Following that up now, let's go with Fatal Portrait by King Diamond, and really you could go with any King Diamond or Merciful Fate album. You can't go wrong with any of them for this time of the year, but Fatal Portrait introduced the world to, his unique blend of, metal and theatrical storytelling told through his unmistakable falsetto and layered instrumentation, and musically it really bridges the precision of Merciful Fate with a stronger focus on narrative and atmosphere, and tracks on here like The Candle and Haunted carry, really eerie cinematic quality to it. It's the perfect Halloween listen for those who appreciate the art of horror storytelling, which is something the King excels at. Let's add a little bit of death metal here to this list, a little bit of variety with Scream Bloody Gore by Death. This is the sound of horror stripped to its raw essence. Scream Bloody Gore is the birth of death metal, just a relentless, uncompromising assault that channels the imagery and intensity of, grindhouse horror into sound here. Chuck Schuldner's vision at this time was pretty primitive, but still ahead of its time in a lot of ways, combining complex musicianship with grotesque lyricism, especially on tracks like Zombie Ritual and Evil Dead, which are perfectly suited for, the zombie Walking Dead side of Halloween. Number 5, October Rust by Typo Negative. Like King Diamond, any Typo album will do for Halloween, but October Rust perfectly captures that cold bleakness of fall, accompanied by their gothic approach and, doomy riffs, the baritone vocals by Peter Steele. Their cover of Cinnamon Girl is a perfect example of, completely making someone else's song into your own, and just how the delivery and perspective can change the entire meaning of the track. Some other standouts here for me, right, of course, you have Love You to Death, Be My Druidess, Green Man, Red Water, although we saved that for the holiday season, My Girlfriend's Girlfriend, Die With Me, right, Burnt Flowers, Fallen, In Praise of Bacchus. So many great songs on here. It's such an infectious record, in my opinion. It's one of Typo Negative's best albums, and they were on a great streak here of records, but again, like I said, any Typo Negative album is perfect for, the Halloween season, but October Rust, one of those perfect essential fall records too. Number 4, Welcome to My Nightmare by Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper has been the king of Halloween, and if I might say so myself, the best Halloween costume too, but Welcome to My Nightmare is Alice's first solo release since the disbandment of the original band, and has all of the campy shock rock humor that put Alice on the map. Narrated by Vincent Price. Standout tracks here include Welcome to My Nightmare, of course, Devil's Food, The Black Widow, Only Women Bleed, Department of Youth, Cold Ethel, Stephen, fantastic haunting song, The Awakening, and Escape. If you aren't playing this on Halloween, you're not trying. This would all be a great fit on anyone's Halloween playlist. I think it's safe to say that without Alice Cooper, most of the bands on this list probably wouldn't even exist, including Ghost. Number 3 here, let's go with Meliora. Very 80s campy horror, with tracks on here like Spirit, From the Pinnacle to the Pit, Sirius, He Is, Mummy Dust, Devil Church, Absolution, Majesty is fantastic. Every song on here is great. They all have this undercurrent of darkness behind them as well, and it's an album full of big hooks and memorable choruses, some of Ghost's best work, and perfect for the season, an absolute must-have at any Halloween party. I feel like this list would be incomplete without Black Sabbath's ominous self-titled debut record here, the album that created metal and immediately set itself apart from everyone else with Tone Iommi's distinct, menacing guitar tone, and of course, it would not be Halloween without the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne, whose vocal delivery adds a whole other layer of haunting onto this record, and it's not just a title track, Black Sabbath, which is perfect for Halloween lyrically, with the rain, the tolling bell, all that stuff, but the other tracks on here, like The Wizard, Wicked World, Behind the Wall of Sleep, NIB, Bit of Finger, Sleeping Village Warning, they all carry this really dark, vibe that was bound to spook any 70s kids' ultra-conservative parents. This whole video so far has been about, albums that are must-plays for Halloween, but what about some songs where your Halloween playlist would be incomplete without them? So just want to give some special recognition here before I get to my number one to a few songs that are absolute must-haves for Halloween. You have Fear of the Dark by Iron Maiden, Bark at the Moon by Ozzy Osbourne, Feed My Frankenstein by Alice Cooper, Halloween by Helloween, and then last but not least, Night Prowler by AC/DC. All fantastic songs that I'll be spinning on Halloween, no doubt. And last but not least here, we have KFD by Wasp. And yes, I will use any excuse to show off my signed copy of this record, but this is Blackie Lawless in full midlife crisis mode, trying to counter-program Marilyn Manson, but also probably making the record that he and Chris Holmes really needed to make, around this time period to let off some serious steam. And it's an album that Blackie Lawless won't do live anymore. It's a place he doesn't want to go back to, but probably one of the more legitimately messed up records on this list, but still perfect for Halloween and its unsettling atmosphere and vibe, especially on tracks here like My Tortured Eyes, Kill Your Pretty Face, Little Death, Wicked Love, The Horror, You. Some really haunting tracks on here. This is a top 5 Wasp album for me, although probably not a good idea to play around the trick-or-treaters unless you want the neighbors to call the cops, but, Wasp's short-lived industrial era definitely holds up as their most shocking and haunting work to date. So that wraps up this video here, the Halloween special for 2025. 10 must-have, must-play rock and metal albums for Halloween this year. You can see my picks right over here. If you're making a playlist, let me know your choices down in the comment section below. What albums and songs will you be spinning on Halloween? I want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel down below for more cosplays like this occasionally. Next year on Halloween, I'll do a poll. I'll ask you guys, who should I paint my face up as? So, maybe next year I'll do a King Diamond. Maybe I'll do Marilyn Manson. I don't know, but we'll do more of these in the future because this is a lot of fun, right? But let me know down in the comment section below all that good stuff as well. And until next time, it's the CD guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Happy Halloween.